Let's face it, folks, we love a good mystery. A whisper of something hidden, a shadowy figure pulling strings. It's exciting, right? Makes you feel like you're in on a secret. But hold on. There's a big difference between a harmless puzzle and a full-blown conspiracy theory. One's a fun distraction. The other? Well, it can be downright dangerous. Conspiracy theories thrive on fear and uncertainty. They offer simple explanations for complex problems. And let's be honest, sometimes the truth is just too messy, too complicated. It's tempting to point a finger at a shadowy cabal and say, aha, that's the reason things are so screwed up. But here's the kicker. More often than not, the real explanation is far less exciting and a lot less sinister. Think about it. Sometimes things are just bad because people make bad choices. Sometimes powerful people abuse their power. And sadly, sometimes the system is rigged to benefit the few at the expense of the many. That's not a conspiracy, folks. That's just the way things are. Or at least the way some people want them to be. But hey, don't take my word for it. Let's dive into the messy, complicated, and often infuriating world of power, politics, and the pursuit of profit. Buckle up, because we're about to take a wild ride through history. History is littered with whispers of conspiracies, secret societies, hidden agendas, powerful figures operating in the shadows. It's enough to make your head spin. But if we cut through the noise, we start to see some disturbing patterns emerge. Patterns of power abuse, resource exploitation, and a whole lot of people getting screwed over. Take the East India Company, for example, a corporation granted a royal charter to trade with the East Indies. Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, it wasn't. This company ended up controlling armies, conquering vast territories, and ruthlessly exploiting millions in the name of profit. Or how about the United Fruit Company? They dominated the banana industry in Central America for decades. But their reign wasn't all sunshine and potassium. They were accused of propping up dictators, crushing labor movements, and even orchestrating coups to protect their bottom line. These stories, and countless others like them, paint a pretty bleak picture. But they also reveal a fundamental truth. Power corrupts. And absolute power? Well, that corrupts absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're talking about kings, corporations, or politicians. The allure of wealth and influence can turn even the most well-intentioned soul into a ruthless operator. So the next time you hear someone whispering about a conspiracy, remember this. Sometimes the most powerful forces at play are greed, ambition, and a healthy disregard for the well-being of others. No shadowy cabal required. Let's talk about Donald Trump, shall we? The man who built an empire on casinos, hotels, and a healthy dose of self-promotion. Now, I'm not here to debate his politics, although tempting, I know. But his business practices? Well, they're a masterclass in exploiting loopholes, dodging taxes, and stiffing contractors. Trump's companies have filed for bankruptcy 6 times. 6! That's not bad luck, folks. That's a pattern of behavior. A pattern of overpromising, underdelivering, and leaving a trail of financial wreckage in his wake. And let's not forget about Trump University, a university that promised to teach students the secrets of real estate success. The only problem? It wasn't a real university, it was a scam, a predatory scheme that preyed on people's dreams and left them thousands of dollars in debt. Now, you might be thinking, John, what does this have to do with conspiracies? Well, here's the thing. Trump's entire career has been built on a foundation of smoke and mirrors. He's a master at creating his own reality, a world where he's always winning, even when he's losing. And that, my friends, is the perfect breeding ground for conspiracy theories. So, we've talked about Trump, now let's bring in another player in this game. J.D. Vance, the venture capitalist turned politician who rode a wave of populist anger all the way to the Senate. Vance made his fortune investing in Silicon Valley startups, companies promising to disrupt industries, revolutionize the world, and make a boatload of money in the process. Sounds familiar, right? The same kind of hype, the same promises of wealth and success that Trump has been peddling for decades. And just like Trump, Vance's success is built on a system that often benefits the few at the expense of the many. Venture capitalists like Vance pour money into startups, hoping to hit the jackpot with the next Google or Amazon. But for every success story, there are countless failures. Companies that flame out, leaving behind nothing but broken promises and laid-off workers. And who picks up the pieces? Often it's the taxpayers. We bail out the banks that finance these risky ventures. We fund the social safety net programs that support those who lost their jobs. Heads, the investors win. Tails, we lose. The conservative playbook: privatize the profits, socialize the losses. This brings us to a broader point about conservative economic policies. policies that often prioritize private profit over public good. The idea is simple: cut taxes, reduce regulations, and let the free market work its magic. But here's the catch. The free market doesn't always play fair. It doesn't guarantee a living wage, affordable healthcare, or a clean environment. In fact, it often leads to monopolies, exploitation, and a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And when things go south, when the economy tanks or a natural disaster strikes, well, that's when conservatives suddenly discover the virtues of government intervention. They're all too happy to accept taxpayer-funded bailouts for corporations or disaster relief for communities in need. It's a classic case of heads they win, tails we lose. Privatize the profits, socialize the losses. That's the conservative playbook, folks, and it's been working like a charm for decades. A helping hand or a hand in your pocket, the liberal dilemma. Now, before you accuse me of being a bleeding heart liberal, let me be clear. I'm not saying that all conservatives are greedy, heartless monsters, and I'm certainly not saying that liberals have all the answers. The liberal approach to government is often characterized by a belief in social programs, regulations, and a safety net for those in need. The idea is to create a more just and equitable society, where everyone has a chance to succeed. But even the best-intentioned policies can have unintended consequences. High taxes can stifle economic growth, regulations can be burdensome and inefficient, and government programs can sometimes create dependencies that are hard to break. Separating fact from fiction, when skepticism becomes cynicism. So where does that leave us? Stuck in a political system where both sides seem more interested in scoring points than solving problems. Drowning in a sea of misinformation, where it's hard to tell fact from fiction. Well, here's the thing. Skepticism is healthy. Questioning authority is essential. But when skepticism curdles into cynicism, when we start to believe that everything is a lie and everyone is in on it, that's when we're really in trouble. Because here's the truth. Most people are just trying to do the best they can with what they have. Most politicians, even the ones we disagree with, genuinely believe they're doing what's right. And most of the time, the explanations for why things are the way they are far less exciting than a good conspiracy theory. The perils of ignoring history, how the past informs the present. So, how do we navigate this complex, often frustrating world? How do we separate the real conspiracies from the baseless ones? How do we hold the powerful accountable without succumbing to cynicism and despair? The answer, my friends, lies in history. By studying the past, by understanding the patterns of power abuse and exploitation that have plagued humanity for centuries, we can better equip ourselves to recognize those patterns when they emerge in the present. History is not just a collection of dusty facts and dates. It's a roadmap, a guidebook for navigating the challenges of the present and building a better future. The importance of critical thinking in the age of misinformation. But studying history is not enough. We also need to be critical thinkers. We need to be able to evaluate information, to separate fact from fiction, to spot logical fallacies and hidden agendas. In the age of social media, where misinformation spreads like wildfire, critical thinking is more important than ever. We can't just blindly accept everything we read online. We need to be discerning consumers of information. Ask questions, consider the source, look for evidence. Be willing to change your mind when presented with new information. These are the hallmarks of a critical thinker. Guarding against deception, empowering ourselves through knowledge. Knowledge is power, folks, and in the fight against deception, knowledge is our most potent weapon. By arming ourselves with knowledge, by understanding the tactics of manipulators and the patterns of history, we can inoculate ourselves against the allure of conspiracy theories. We can learn to spot the warning signs of a con. We can develop a healthy skepticism of those who promise easy answers to complex problems. And most importantly, we can empower ourselves to be active, engaged citizens who demand accountability from our leaders and work to create a more just and equitable world. A call to action, shaping a future free from exploitation. So let's not be afraid to ask tough questions. Let's challenge the status quo. Let's hold the powerful accountable for their actions. Let's study history, not to dwell on the past, but to learn from it and build a better future. The world is a messy, complicated place, but it's also a place of immense beauty, creativity, and resilience. By working together, by embracing knowledge and critical thinking, We can shape a future free from the shackles of exploitation and deception, a future where power rests in the hands of the many, not the few, a future worthy of the sacrifices of those who came before us. That's our challenge, folks. And I believe with all my heart that we're up to the task.